Good morning, it's very cold and frosty today. I am taking the new Billy Nomates album for a run called Cacti. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's complex, thought-provoking, very experimental and very poppy at the same time. Let's get going. And the watch is on, the music's on or off. Come on, let's go, 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 go. The album opens with Billy Nomates' voice sounding very loud and clear, like a blast of fresh air in your ears. The song has this wobbly bass line, which is as warped and as exciting as a roller disco on the rings of Saturn. The momentum of this song makes me feel like I'm racing forward at the speed of light. Guitars come and go and synths illuminate my face. My body is experiencing the same G-force as a fighter pilot taking off from an aircraft carrier. Oh, what's happening here? It's like all of a sudden my version of reality is a bouncy castle and the air is being let out of it. The guitars come back in and fill it with air once again. I'm bouncing, I'm spinning, I'm a broken dream catcher heading for the tip. Ah! Black Curtains in a Bag is a dark and mysterious song which seems to talk about the conflict between someone's bright and pure heart and another person's dark and damaged mind. I feel like the attic that's on fire in this song represents a very troubled mind. The production here is amazing. You've got a really punchy and funky bass line, tumbling synths, and a drum sound which is so fresh, it's like loads of frozen blades of grass. There's a real sadness and tenderness and kind of childlike and dreamlike quality to the melodies on this song. All that sweetness then gets torn apart when she says how beautiful his hands are. There's a lot of noise around that point, as if to show you can't have any positive or affectionate thoughts. It makes me feel, when I'm listening to this bit of the album, that she's getting ready to leave a situation she's not comfortable in. Blue Bones, Death Wish absolutely blew me away when I first heard it on the radio last year. On the album it carries on perfectly from the song before it, where we're presented with a character who seems to have this wish to die or at least disappear from the real world. Again, it's an incredibly sad but beautiful song. And then there's this part I'm listening to now where she says she had a death wish too, and for me that gives this song a bit more hope. The music starts building, you start feeling good about yourself. And then when that chorus comes back in, it is absolutely perfect. The bass on this song sounds like a snow leopard in the kitchen, creeping around yogurt pots that have been washed and are now ready to be recycled. That whole song feels like it's drenched in pouring rain, and for me that's a 3-song cycle which are set indoors. And after this, it seems like Billy Nomates goes out and starts exploring, goes out on her own. And Cacti even starts with a lyric, "I'm never coming back, am I?" To my mind, that's an amazing part where a movement of songs set indoors with isolation and fear, and now out in the big world, in the desert. It's just so fascinating, that switch in narrative, and the music matches it. The music is much bigger and more expansive. Cacti has this really alluring and mysterious melody. It makes me think of police lights reflected on a wall, a helicopter silently flying in from the coast, the distant lights of a city warped through the heat haze of a desert. It's a sound, jump over that. It's a sound which feels like a mirage. I want to grab it, I want to touch it, but as soon as I get close, it disappears. The panic vocals, they traverse my mind like a vulture in a shirt and tie. We're going fast, come on! The title Cacti and all the desert imagery on this song really highlights that she's out there on her own. We know we're alone at this point in the album, but there's something so comforting about this song. Yeah, and there's that real feeling of self-sabotage where she says, things are going well, I'd better put a stop to it. I know what that feels like. I've been there myself. I can see why Billy Nomates performs live with backing tracks, because each instrument is like a dancer. She's choreographed herself. It's so good. It just adds a lot of feeling, a lot of colour, a lot of movement to her words, to everything, the soundscape she's creating. Oh, those guitar melodies. She really is an incredible producer. There's such a uniqueness and distinctive sound about every song she puts out. Oh, look at this, I'm running, the sun is on my face, I'm feeling good. Side 1 finishes with Roundabout Sadness, a hall of mirrors filled with an organ and a drum that pounds like a beating heart, where she says, I brought myself here anyway. For me, it feels like a moment in the album where she gathers herself before setting forward again on side 2. I really like that lyric, which seems to be about not worrying or feeling bad for running away. This was always going to happen anyway. Sadness is on a loop and it's really difficult to break away from it. Side 2 then kicks off with Spite, which shows Billy Nomates holding all the power over herself. The really unpredictable chord sequence on this song suits the message that she chose this path, but at the same time she doesn't really know where she's going. It's so clever the way the lyrics and music are so connected like that. And this is what I mean by it being a really thought-provoking and complex album. Sometimes you want an album, particularly a modern album which is addressing modern day issues, you want it to kind of throw up more questions than answers, because that's the type of world we are living in now. The guitars on Spite go through so many different moods. It's rocky, it's punchy, then it's delicate, melodic and sad. Oh, I don't know how she does it, honestly. And underneath all that change in emotion done by the guitars, the vocals, the lyrics, you've got the bass which is still playing that very unorthodox progression. So clever. I love the way Spite ends with the line, don't you act like I ain't the fucking man. And then Fauna comes in, which is this beautifully sad acoustic song that hints at the misogyny within the music industry. There are some really ear-catching, diminished George Harrison style chords on this song, which really adds to the vibe of a winning underdog. I have never heard her voice sound like this before, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's soft and it feels like it's on the verge of breaking, but lyrically she tells you she's never gonna give up. This song feels like another turning point on the album for me. So if you think early on she's leaving the house, she's going outdoors, now she's outdoors, it feels like she's decided to start climbing. It's an album which really seems to move throughout it. Oh, I love it. I guess in a way it's about ambition. The ambition to look after yourself and the ambition to succeed as a creative artist. And the Cacti is a perfect symbol for that ambition. It's resilient and it can grow in some really kind of like demanding and challenging environments. And the way this song ends with a line, you get to know everybody, shows that by being overly nice and fake, you get to know everybody other than yourself. And on this album, which is really about getting to know and understanding yourself, that's such a waste of time to output all this fake niceness on people who don't really know that well. Same Gun feels like it's delivered through gritted teeth, and it reminds me of the Doberman by my parents' house when I was a kid. They used to bark with its mouth closed, and that is much more terrifying than a real bark. The honky tonk piano in the background, the image of her carrying a gun and shooting it as fast as her rivals adds to the sense that this album is set in some kind of western, and that adds to the feeling of her being a fearless outsider. Same Gun is such a great song to run to. I think I'm on for my fastest kilometre here. Let's keep on going. The fact that I'm now running fast fits another theme on the album for me, which is speed, transition between one place and another. Everything happens so quickly, sometimes you don't have a chance to think about it. And then perfectly timed again with the sense of this climbing ambition, On Vertigo she says, is this it? Is this what I've worked for? It's so unsettling and funky at the same time. I feel like I'm pogo sticking around a cemetery. Whoop, jump over all this ice, look at all this ice. Something amazing happens to her voice at the end of Vertigo. It goes soft, sad and tender, as if being an adult and looking down on your childhood and wondering what went wrong for that child to end up where that adult is today. And that cry, that vocal at the very end, oh, it just breaks you, it melts you. And then the way on Apathy is wild. She has that line, in a dying child. Oh my word, it's heartbreaking. I know that judging by the words coming up my mouth, you might think this is a really depressing album, but it's not. It's so uplifting, it gives you energy. The music, it's just perfect, right? It's a perfect mix of this uplifting experimental music and really honest and clever lyrics. It feels like the death of the inner child and the death of the adult which has hope, but it's packaged and delivered straight to your heart in a way that makes you feel happy. I don't know how it's happened. It's given Dread bright colours I didn't think Dread could come dressed in. There's a controlled fear, and that fear is let loose at the end of the blackout signal. I'm nearly done. Oh, these vocals, the vocals at the end of Blackout Signal, oh, listen to them, it is piercing, it cuts right through you. Her voice on this album has been softer and more tender than I've ever heard it, while also being really tormented. The full range is there, everything is there. I'm done, I am done, and that is why I think, let me turn the headphones off. That is why I think Cacti by Billy Nomates is an absolute masterpiece. It's so complex, it was hard to talk about in that limited time running into the album. It makes you think long after you listen to it, you think long and hard about it, and the way it ends with she's saying it'll make us so happy if those walls come down. Yes, it is a bleak album. Yes, it is very honest and real about sadness, depression, mental battles, but it finishes for me what I think is real anguished singing, and then the hope, the belief that will pull the walls down. Absolutely amazing, just so good, full on 10 out of 10 album. That is Cacti by Billy Nomates. Give her a listen, take it for a run, let me know what you think. I'm a running punk, you should be a running punk too. Love you, bye.